Hello everyone, welcome to Blacktooth Woodworking. My name is Nate and this is kind of a part 2 video on my last one on how to create a USB keypad pendant for universal G-code sender. Now I realized after that last video that it was really hard to see what I was doing on the screen, and after a few people had sent me some questions about what I was doing, I thought I'd make this video. And a quick note before we get started: if you have to clear the cache within Universal G-Code Sender, that will in fact erase all of your shortcuts that you create for your keypad, so you will need to do them again. And I had to clear my cache within the program, and so it wiped all of them out. And I thought, well, it's a perfect chance to do a little video on how I actually set this up and do a screen capture this time, so hopefully you can see exactly what I'm doing and make it a little bit easier. So let's just jump right in. So once you open up Universal G-Code Sender, we aren't going to connect the machine. There's no need. I don't even have it plugged in right now. But what you do want to do is go to the top menu, under Tools, click on Options. It'll bring up this window here, and we want to go to the key map. It'll load all the actions here, and this screen, what you see here is on the left, all of the actions. In the middle, all the shortcuts, and on the right, the category that they fall under. So if we scroll down, what we're looking for is machine, and here we go. Now I'm lucky enough to have already done this, and I have a keypad already set up with all the cool little stickers on them, so I know exactly what I want to assign to what. But if you're doing this for the first time, you'll need to write all this down so you don't forget what action you assigned your number 9 key to. So just write them down, and then you can either make stickers for it later, or just use your cheat sheet and try and remember what you assigned the number 9 to, however you want to do it. But to begin with, we are going to go to the decrease XY step size. Now if you click on these boxes over here, the gray boxes with 3 dots, you'll get a little pop-up menu: edit, reset to default, or clear. All of these that we're going to be doing, we want to edit. So click on edit. That'll open up your shortcut dialog little here. Actually, before I do that, also I have a keypad, so you have a numlock key. So if I have it off right now, the numlock off, meaning if I push the number 9 key, I'm not going to get a number 9. I'm going to get whatever secondary function that key might have. So if you see, I'm going to turn it on, but it actually recorded that keystroke, numlock. I don't want that. So I'm going to go back over here. Nope, I don't want that either. I'm going to reset that to default. So you want to make sure your numlock is on or off before you try and edit the shortcut. Otherwise, it's going to record your numlock keystroke. So now it's on. Now I can go over here and edit, and my decrease step size is the backspace key. And you might get a little pop-up window for some of these if you try and add a shortcut key that's already been assigned to something. I'm surprised the backspace didn't show up, but maybe it's because I did this once already and I'm having to do it over again. Just go ahead and click yes to overwrite the shortcut. Hopefully that pops up so I can show you. Decrease Z step. I'm going to do that one, but I'm going to do that one later because that is a secondary function on my keypad. I don't divide any of the feed rates. I don't jog inch. I don't change that. Increase feed rate, no. Increase X, Y step size, yes. Edit that. Increase the XY is the add button. If I scroll down here, increase Z, I will do that one a little bit later. Toggle units, jog X. We will edit that one. That is the numpad 7. Now with the keypad, I don't do the X and Y together. You can do that directly within UGS right over here. If you know, one of these angled arrows, it'll jog both X and Y at the same time. Jog Y, edit, that is positive numpad 8. Then the negative for that is numpad 5, and I forgot to do the X negative, which is right here, and that is numpad 4. Jog Z positive, oops, edit, and that is the numpad 9. Z negative, numpad 6, and all I'm doing after I hit that is just clicking outside of that, and it'll keep it there. Now you can either click apply after each one, or just wait until you're done and click apply. Either way will work. Pause, I do have a pause button, and that happens to be the decimal point. Reset X, Y, Z. I don't need the X and Y independently. I do reset Z 0, and that will be a secondary function on the keypad, so I will come back to that one. But I do reset 0, which is basically, you know, when you jog your machine to a specific point, you're setting your 0 point. So that is the multiply key, and that one will do all 3 axes, X, Y, and Z. Return to 0 or go to 0 is what I have on my sticker. That is the subtract key. Your send is the play button looking button. And that is the big 0 key. Stop. Okay, here's an interesting one. I have my stop shortcut as the enter key. However, if I click here and click edit, and then if I hit the enter key, it doesn't do anything. However, if you click these 3 dots and then you click edit, you come up with a little drop down arrow key. Click that. Now you can select any one of these. You can even do wheel up or wheel down if you wanted to, but here's the enter key. So if I click on that, it puts enter in there for me, and that gets around the little issue I was having when I first did this. I couldn't figure out how to program the enter key. Now you will get a pop-up dialog. I'm not getting it because, like I said, this is the second time I had to do this because it didn't record this secondary window for me. That'll say, you know, there's a conflict of shortcut keys, something to that effect. You can cancel out of that. You can, I think you can actually have like add, so you have 2 enter shortcuts, something like that, or override it. Just override it. Just say yes when that window pops up, and you should be good to go. I don't unlock, I don't do any of these. We'll keep scrolling down. So that's all for machine. If I didn't mention earlier, you'll want to go down to the category machine, and that's where you'll find all of these. There are a few that I program that are all the way down here under overrides. So many that I know like to have their override, and it's right under here. So feed override. So when you're running your car and you think you could increase the feed rate a little bit, you can do that override while the machine's running. So I like to have a couple shortcuts for that as well. And I use the double plus override, which is a 10% increase. And that is the numpad 3. I also do the double negative, which is a 10% decrease. That's numpad 1. All I'm doing is just hitting the keypad, the keys that I want. And then you have the feed reset to reset it back to 100%, and that is number 2. Don't get the feed override confused with your where is it? Feed rate. Don't get those two confused. The decrease and increase feed rate is right down here, and that increases or decreases the speed in which you jog the machine. So you can see 250 here. I think default's 10, which is really slow. 250 seems to work for me for right now just fine. So when you click and hold your X or Y or Z, that's the speed in which the router will move to that position. You want to be careful not to have it too fast, but 10 is just painfully slow. But that's what these are. So don't get those confused with your override feed rate here. I guess that's not feed rate, it's, yeah, sort of. Anyway, so I have the machine, I have the overrides. Now I do have a few, like I said, that have a secondary function on your keypad, and those are back up here. So the secondary function is basically like using the shift key on your keyboard. You know, if you have the 1 key on the keyboard and you click 1, you'll get a 1. If you click shift 1, you'll get the exclamation mark. So that's basically what the numlock key does. So now that I have that on, if now I turn it off, so the little indicator light is off, now what I'm doing is going to those secondary functions on the keypad. So for instance, let's say I'm resetting Z0 and I edit, and if I click the same button that I use for my increase Z jog, now that's the page up. So you can see with the numlock off, I'm getting that secondary function. I do not want that, so I'll click out, click back in, reset to default. So that is my Z step, which is up here. So increase Z step. We'll edit that, and that is the page up. And decrease Z step is the page down key. Now the reason why I have these as secondary functions because I don't normally use these as much as I do the XY step size, just because kind of a safety thing, I guess. I don't want to have a large step size for my Z axis and, you know, hit down and it jams a bit into my wood work surface or anything. So that's why I have those as a secondary function. Now obviously you can choose whatever keys you want, whatever makes sense to you. This just made more sense to me. Now I need to set the Z0. I do have this one, and that is the right arrow key, which is also the number 6. I do have that one Like I said, I don't reset X and Y independently, but I will reset Z independently, because if you're doing a bit change, your X and Y are going to stay the same. It's going to be the same starting point, datum, but you know, your second bit might be longer or might be shorter, so you need to reset that Z0, so you're consistent with your carb. That is why I have that one. That's why I do select the Z on its own. I'll apply those, and I do believe, oh no, I need a, I also have the connect. I usually connect from up here because when I start the program, it's easier just to, you know, refresh my port and then just go over here to connect. But I did program this as a secondary function of the play button, which is an insert. And I forgot a very important one right here is the home machine, which is the divide key. Now I'll apply those to make sure I don't screw anything up. And that's it, folks. That's all you got to do. You just select the shortcut to whatever actions you want. These are what made sense to me. Obviously, some things might make more sense to you and you'll want to do them, or you might have a different keypad that may have more options, so you might be able to do a soft reset shortcut on your keypad or what have you. So that's all there is to it. And then once you click apply, don't forget to click apply. You can click OK and everything should be saved. Again, like I said at the beginning, if you have to clear your cache, that will get rid of all of this, so you'll have to do it again. Another note quickly is that when using the program right here, and you click and hold, let's say for instance your Y positive direction, and you jog the Y position, it's going to be pretty smooth. You know, your route is going to run pretty smooth no matter what your step size is. It's going to be smooth. However, if this is a shorter increment, 0.001 for instance, and you use your keypad to jog your machine, it's gonna jerk and stutter and you're gonna think you broke something. No, you didn't. Just increase the step size. 0.01 is smooth. 0.05 is smooth. So I usually have the XY anywhere from 0.01 to 0.05, depending on how far I have to move it, and then it runs a lot smoother. The step size for Z I keep pretty low, especially when I'm getting close to the work surface, again, so I don't jam the bit down into the wood if I'm not using a touch probe. Another thing you need to be aware of is that if this is a large increment, 0.5 for instance, which don't think I've ever done, and then you click and hold the keypad, it's gonna go even after you let go of the key, because that size is so large. It's basically storing the memory of you pushing that key down for as long as you are until you lift your finger. Well, it still has room to go, so it's still gonna go. I think I'm confusing everybody. So in other words, in a text document, you hold the J key down, you're gonna get a bunch of J's running across the screen. Let's see if I can do it. No, I'm not connected, I can't do it. But you know what I mean. You hold the J key down, it has that brief pause at the beginning, and then you get a bunch of J's. If that's 0.001, those J's are short, so as soon as you let go, it stops. Now, if those J's are 0.5 inches, if they're half an inch, let's say you held the J key down for 2 seconds and you got 20 J's. Now if you increase that 0.5, you hold down for 2 seconds again, you're going to let go after 2 seconds, but those J's are still going to keep running because they're longer. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. Anyway, be very careful when holding the key down on your keypad if your step size is large. I wouldn't recommend it. You could run your bit right into a hold down clamp or into your work surface, into your piece of wood or whatever. So just make sure these are low when you're holding the key down. If they're large, just press it one at a time. That way you know exactly where your bit's gonna go. I hope that made sense. If not, just leave a question. Maybe I can demonstrate it real world like. But I hope I cleared some things up. I hope that helped you out. It's really simple to do. It doesn't take much time at all. And even if when you disconnect and close out of everything and open back up, they should all still be saved. Unless you have to clear your cache again, like I said. So I hope that helped. And thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. And I will see you next time. Take care.